Curtis Stevens has looked much better in recent fights. Always a big puncher, but John David Jackson has him boxing aggressively, effectively. Lemieux has achieved higher heights and has greater upside, but Roy and Jim, he's looked in better shape to the naked eye in the past.
100%. He looks a little fleshy to me.
Hopefully he hasn't underestimated Curtis Stevens and Curtis Stevens' power.
Sometimes when a guy rehydrates by a big number overnight, it means that he had to struggle to make weight, starched himself, and then desperately needed to pour in the rehydration. And you saw that Lemieux had a 7-pound advantage, 177 coming in.
They are both huge punchers.
Big left hook by Curtis Stevens, and they're both huge punchers. And for both of them at this point, Max, I think the money punch is the left hook.
Yep, but they can hurt you with either hand, and they're throwing them right now.
And Curtis's left hook is looking more deadly right now. He's really trying to knock Lemieux out, and Lemieux is really trying to knock him out.
Yeah, it doesn't look like either fighter wants to go the distance. 12 rounds tonight.
Good right hand by Lemieux.
There's some genuine bad blood between these two. The build-up to the fight.
And there's a bad taste in the mouths of the audience after having watched the desultory fight which preceded this. So now they're eager to see action, and Lemieux and Stevens are going to give it to them.
And concussive action. I mean, these punches are huge shots.
Yeah, we've already got more action in this fight than we had in the last the whole 10 rounds.
Exactly right.
Good right hand by
less than a minute and a half.
Yes.
Good right hand by
Stevens.
Lemieux comes into this fight hoping to make the kind of impression that makes him viable, not only for an eventual Triple G rematch, though I don't know what kind of interest there'd be in that considering how one-sided the fight was, but also as a potential Canelo.
Oh, good
hard right hand by Lemieux. Stevens was hurt by that shot.
Stevens was indeed hurt by the right hand.
Lemieux better be careful though, because Stevens does still have that hook. There it is.
Yep, both big fight-changing power in both hands, both guys.
Good hook
hard
and
right hand by Lemieux. Now Stevens lands a right of his own. Good shots from both guys. Left hook by Lemieux, upstairs and downstairs. Right hand to follow it.
And Curtis answers. I told y'all we was gonna get a good one.
Curtis has got to be looking at Lemieux and thinking that he can weather the storm early. It's a winnable fight.
Of course. He's hoping that Lemieux wears himself out punching.
But it's a full storm early.
Sure is.
Lemieux just has to try to pace himself as Curtis is doing.
See who starts to go to the body with conviction here.
Both of them
He's
been
already
trying.
landed 30 hard shots in the round. We've still got 20 seconds to go.
Yeah, both have been trying, especially Lemieux. Like that right there.
10 seconds to the bell.
Oh, good hook by Lemieux. Oh, he hurt Curtis bad.
Lemieux.
Yeah, that hurt Curtis bad that time.
Lemieux is such a big puncher. The reason Triple G boxed so technically against him.
Stevens makes it out of the round, and you see the look of trepidation on his mother's face. One day after her son turned 32 years old, she watched him take a fusillade of hard punches in the first round from David Lemieux.
Okay? Roll a little bit. That will open up for you, and you go to the body. Yeah, give it back. Go to the body this round. Hit the body down. Deep breath, deep breath. You're doing good. Weather the storm for me. Okay? When you get close, give me a few shots.
Here you see Lemieux land a right hand first. Over the top of the jab. A beautiful overhand right, but it was high on the head. Seemed to knock Curtis off balance more than anything. Then Curtis come back with a counter hook right there that hit him on the neck. He missed the chin as well, followed by two right hands. Then Lemieux caught him with a hook right here at the end of the round that really seemed to hurt Stevens and cause him some problems. We saw his legs buckle just a little bit then. Great body work after that shot by Lemieux.
Round two begins, and in exactly the same vein as Lemieux drives Stevens to the ropes and starts firing away again.
It could be really interesting if Curtis can survive this, because again, Lemieux does not look like he's in the best shape of his career.
Exactly right.
And he better not punch himself out, because if he does, he's gonna have a problem, because Curtis knows how to maintain.
Stevens trying to weather the storm upstairs and mix in some punishment downstairs on that seemingly soft Lemieux belly.
Think that represents a lack of respect for Stevens on Lemieux's part, Roy?
No, I think he just thinks he's the bigger guy, and I don't think that he's ever been too cut up much more than he is right now. But maybe that putting on the extra weight also caused him to blow up like that.
Well, he actually had a canceled fight last summer because of a failure to make weight. So you don't know exactly what's going on in Lemieux's life all the time. And maybe there's been some indifference in training. His trainer, Mark Ramsey, is a very serious guy who usually demands a lot out of the fighters. But, of course, David Lemieux's a big-money fighter. He gets to do what he wants to do.
No, not in Mark Ramsey's gym. If you do what you want to do in Mark Ramsey's gym, he's going to put you out of there. So he demands that his guys respect him and give him the work that he asks for.
He did make weight, Lemieux. He's entitled to put on that extra
Hard
weight.
right hand by Stevens.
But he just looks like a fighter banking on an early knockout.
He is, and he better not be banking on that, because if Curtis is still around, Curtis is very dangerous. Good hook by Lemieux. Good right hand by Curtis.
Lemieux is slowing down just a little bit.
Yes, he is.
I don't know whether that means he's settling in for the long haul or whether he's lost some of that initial burst of energy.
Well, I think he's surprised that Curtis Stevens took his punches as well as he did.
Now Lemieux begins to jab.
So he's wasting a lot of power shots on Curtis's gloves, Jim.
Stevens is biding his time, not throwing nearly as many as Lemieux. Trying to make them count when he does, like that left hook right there.
He's saving himself, and he's trying to knock out.
Big left hook to the body. But
Not trying to waste as many punches as Lemieux is wasting.
yeah, Stevens under Jackson's tutelage has been efficient, has been economical.
Oh, good body shot. That hurt. That hurt Lemieux right there. Good left body shot by Stevens.
Lemieux, some of these shots, Roy, look now like, let me keep this guy off of me kind of shots from Lemieux.
Yeah, but Curtis hurt him with a body shot bad just now.
5 seconds left in the second round. It's been action all the way. And a little bit of a seesaw as Lemieux dominated the first round and Curtis Stevens came back.
Real good middleweight slugfest.
Ça se peut qu'on se ramasse dans une soirée qui va être plus longue que prévu, David, OK? C'est pour ça que je veux que tu travailles en dehors de ton jab. Tu me gardes à longue distance.
I want you to work with the jab. Every time you get him, it's because you have to keep some distance between him and you. The only thing that... So that's the drill. You just box and box, and you go on the fence. Don't go for the big shot. I just want you to
Curtis
box.
Stevens land the best shot that he's landed all night, which is a beautiful left body shot to the liver. And you see Lemieux snatch that arm down right there. That lets you know that that shot hurted. It hurt bad.
David Lemieux came in looking for an early knockout. Clearly, now gets to round number 3. It would still be an early knockout if he can get it done. But some of the mustard seemed to have disappeared from his punches by the end of round number 2. Curtis Stevens, Friday, I should say, yesterday, had the kind of birthday that every weight class fighter dreams of. Made weight in the morning and then got to have a birthday party afterward.
I like what Stevens is doing here.
Good left hook by Stevens.
They're starting to touch.
To shake Lemieux just a little bit.
Yeah, he's starting to touch Lemieux more with both hands, the left and the right.
Steady pressure, and the touching leads to the harder touching, like right now.
And not
A
allowing
devastating loss for Lemieux if it happened. He came here clearly expecting to win. Stevens wasn't quite so outspoken, wasn't quite so adamant about it.
Well, yes, he was. He said he's not going to lose this fight.
And Stevens has made strides under John David Jackson. There's no two ways about it.
In fact, it's a particularly strong corner with Jackson and Chief Second Rudy Hernandez, which is why it was shocking that they failed to bring the mouthpiece to the corner at the beginning of the fight. You don't expect that from that professional corner.
Of course,
good hook by
Lemieux has the kind of power where even if Stevens starts to do good work and the momentum seems to have shifted, Lemieux can shift it back again in an eye blink.
Dangerous at any time. Good right hand to the body by Lemieux.
shifted all the way back is in a knockout. But so can Stevens.
That's exactly right, Max. Oh,
There it is, Stevens.
out cold.
And out cold. Knockout victory. Lemieux got what he was looking for on a perfect right-hand shot.
No, left hook,
Oh,
left hook,
yeah.
Jim.
Left hook.
Left hook
Yep.
right to the chin.
Guys, that's the knockout of the year so far, I believe.
By far.
That was a bomb.
He put Stevens to sleep in a fight where it looked like Stevens was coming on, like Lemieux's future was in jeopardy. Just had the feeling of the kind of fight where Lemieux could get stopped. And Stevens, there's concern around him right now.
That was a bomb. Curtis Stevens' mother has come to ringside now and put her hands on her son and now pulled him back. As the doctor is looking at him very carefully. And David Lemieux walks around cockily as if to say, well, I knew exactly what was going to happen.
This is disconcerting because generally someone is not unconscious this long after a knockout.
He's breathing.
However, the really dangerous kind of ring tragedy fights are generally fights that occur over many rounds of sustained punishment. This was not that.
Exactly right. This was a one-punch shot. That's his mother.
He'll be okay. I mean,
Only a few feet away from her son. Has to be an agonizing period of time for her. Roy Jones, we haven't seen a harder shot than this in a long time.
now that's the hardest one I've seen this year, Jim. That was a beautifully placed left hook right on the button after the overhand right. He threw, straight right, threw it straight right down the pipe. And Curtis tried to throw the hook, and he beat him to the punch with the hook. Curtis threw a hook. His hook didn't land. David's hook did land.
Short left hook, didn't travel more than 10 or 12 inches.
Joe Louis-like.
Joe Louis-like, perfect.
Once
set.
again, beautiful straight right hand. And they traded hooks right here, but, oh, my goodness. David's hook hit the button. Curtis's hook didn't.
So that's the knockout power we're talking about when we discuss David Lemieux. Explosive, and this is a perfect illustration. Stevens was unconscious at that moment.
Yes, he was. Real-time action. Wow.
Lemieux celebrating, but not terribly demonstratively, as the focus now is on the legitimate medical concern for Curtis Stevens, who's now being strapped onto a gurney at ringside as his mother waits and watches. This is one of those moments that reminds you that boxing is not a game.
Very violent sport.
Fighters, in effect, are always fighting for their lives as well as their livelihoods. Curtis Stevens moving his hands, as you can see there, so clearly he's now conscious and perhaps aware of what happened to him.
No, I still don't think he'll be aware for a little while, Jim. I've had that happen a couple of times, and you're not really conscious of what's going on until a little while later, so he'll be out of his mind for a little while longer, but he will bounce back.
So you're saying that the night that Glenn Johnson knocked you out, for instance, you weren't aware until you were in the dressing room exactly what had gone down?
Exactly, because I was dehydrated, shot caught me, I was out of it.
Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particulars on the knockout.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Turning Stone Resort Casino, referee Charlie Fitch, immediately following the knockdown, calls a halt to the contest. The winner at 1 minute 59 seconds of round number 3 by knockout victory from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, former middleweight world champion David Lemieux.
Let's take a look at final copy box numbers. In this brief fight, Lemieux came out firing, dominated the first round, piled up a punch that edge over Curtis Stevens. Ultimately, the CompuBox numbers find Lemieux landing 57 more punches, 93-36, throwing 161 more punches, and landing it by at a higher percentage. Curtis Stevens gave an account of himself in there and landed some very good, clean shots. And then ultimately in round number 3, Lemieux landed the thunderous punch that brought an end to the fight. He landed 56% of his power shots. And despite the fact that he looked a little bit out of shape, nevertheless got done exactly what he was wanting to get done. Now let's go to Max Kellerman with David Lemieux.
Congratulations, David, on one of the most devastating and scariest one-punch knockouts I've ever seen, to tell you the truth. Tell me about it.
I told you before I did it. I told you what I was going to do tonight, and I did it. You know, I hope he's healthy and everything goes good, you know.
What do you see here? We're replaying it right here.
I see checkmate. It's a perfect connection, and it's been what we've been practicing for and what we've been looking for to do.
Physically, to be candid, you did not look as cut up as you sometimes do before the fight. You looked like you were heavier, like not in the best shape of your career, and he started to seem to give you some problems in the second round before that one-punch shot. Were you in the best shape?
Absolutely. I was in very great shape. Actually, the reason I slowed down was because my trainer was telling me to relax and find the openings and pick your shots properly instead of wasting your shots for nothing. So we paced it ourselves, and as the openings came, we took him. I was in great shape. Actually, you know, I had a great camp leading up to this fight, and like I said, we have big plans ahead.
Did you feel his power at all when he was coming on in that second round?
Yeah, he's a strong guy. He's a physically strong guy, but nothing impressive. Nothing that slowed me down, as you saw.
That was such an impressive display of one-punch knockout power. Do you think it puts you right back in the mix?
Well, I told you guys where I was going to be, and I said it, and I did it, and I guess you guys tell me if you think I should be back in the pick. I think I think the fans want to see great fights, and I have great fights to give. Whenever I come out, I give the fans my heart out on the ring, and you always see the 100% of me. Stevens was a solid fighter. We trained very well for him, and we came to do what we needed to do, and we did. We were successful.
Assuming that this is not enough to get you the fight you really want, which is to avenge the defeat to Triple G yet, who else is out there that you would be interested in facing coming up?
Of course, we want to face the best fighters out there. Definitely, you know, whatever name is up there, I want to face them. You know, there's Saunders, who has the title. There's Canelo, that we've been talking about a lot. Canelo is a solid fighter, a great fighter. And for sure, there's the Kingpin, Golovkin, that for sure I would love to defeat.
Congratulations, David. That was like a Julian Jackson-esque knockout. That was truly a memorable one, and of course, we all hope that Curtis Stevens is okay. Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Max Kellerman. We'll take one more look at the trade of left hooks that wound up so much in David Lemieux's favor. The quick, short, as Roy Jones called it, Joe Louis-style left hook that knocked Curtis Stevens cold and left him flat on the canvas. So Max and David, I think, very accurately discussed the current state of the division and the three possible opponents for David Lemieux as he goes forward. Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo Alvarez. I don't know about Triple G, but I'm certain that fans would want to see David against either of the other two. You agree?
Yeah, we'd like to see David against either of the other two, because against those guys, we know that David Lemieux has the power to knock either one of them out, just like they have the ability to outbox him. I just want to say that I did tell you that we were going to get our money's worth.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Main event, and we did get our money's worth in that main event.
Absolutely. And he says that he was indeed in good shape. We saw the belly being a little bit sort of I don't know, fluffy looking. It didn't look like it was a hard belly, but maybe that was the right kind of shape to do what he wanted to do.
Well, when you're fighting another guy who's almost a mirror image of you, which is a puncher, you want to do like Max doesn't like. You want to pull down, but put on as much weight as possible so that if you trade punches, your punch will have a little bit more weight on it than his punch if both of you can really punch. So that's the whole advantage of pulling down the day before and going back up as high as you can after. Because if we're equal, then if we trade punches like they almost did, the one with the most mass is probably going to have the most effect. And I told you too that if he's training in Mark Ramsey's gym, he's in shape. Believe that Mark Ramsey will not have you in his gym and you not be in shape.
All right. Thanks very much, Roy Jones. Matt Kellerman, he shares his promoter with Canelo Alvarez. Is there a scenario by which they could meet?
There is, because he's an exciting fighter and a marketable fighter and a huge puncher. That was not normal. Look, I say all this hoping that and believing that Curtis Stevens will be okay. And I say that because generally tragic circumstances in boxing arise when a fighter has such a good chin and he's facing another fighter who's not such a terrific puncher that he sustains 10 or 12 straight rounds of head trauma, essentially. That wasn't this fight. Folks, I've seen a lot of boxing in my life, and that is one of the most devastating one-punch knockouts I have ever seen in any weight division. Generally, especially early in a fight, you do not see a shot land that has an opponent out for that long. It's a scary circumstance because it's so unusual in my experience. Curtis Stevens was completely unconscious for a long time, so we all hope he's okay. And generally under these circumstances, the fighter does turn out to be okay. And having said that, oh my God, what a knockout shot from David Lemieux. He is a viable opponent at middleweight going forward because of that power for anyone.
We promised you mayhem. At the end of the day, that's what we got. Needless to say, Curtis Stevens is now being taken to a hospital for observation. We wish him the very, very best. Congratulations to Lemieux on doing what he said unabashedly that he was going to be able to do, which is to put Curtis Stevens to sleep. Thanks for being with us here at Turning Stone.